Welcome to Sunshine Cathedral's Queer God Squad. It's Wednesday, May 13th, 2026. I am Bishop Darrell Watkins, the Senior Minister of the Sunshine Cathedral for the Queer God Squad. Join me today and most days are Bishop Robert Griffin, Reverend Dr. Ann Atwell, and Reverend Kevin Tisdall. Visit sunshinecathedral.org to learn more about us.
Queer God Squad was created by Hotspots Happening Now to support our mission to explore the value of faith in the LGBTQ community.
There is no streaming TV show like this in the entire world. In 2026, we are celebrating the 41st anniversary of Hotspots magazine, with Queer News Tonight sharing over 14,000 stories and 12 million views so far.
We are the largest nonprofit LGBTQ media organization in America, and we encourage you to support our mission to inform, entertain, and educate our community and allies.
This is the Sunshine Cathedral perspective. Memphis district split draws civil rights outcry. Tennessee's recent redistricting of Memphis stands as a stark example of modern gerrymandering that carries a deeply troubling racist appearance. By dividing an historically unified black voting district, state lawmakers effectively diluted the collective political power of a concentrated minority community. This maneuver disperses black voters into surrounding predominantly white conservative districts. While proponents claim these changes are benign, the visual and statistical reality tells a different story. Stripping a major metropolitan area of its unified voice silences a community with district-shared interest and historical struggles. When cartography is weaponized to systematically diminish the representation of black citizens, the democratic process loses its integrity, leaving behind the unmistakable stain of racial disenfranchisement. The Queer God Squad says racially charged gerrymandering is unfair and immoral. The NAACP filed a lawsuit against the state government within 3 hours of the governor signing the bill, saying that the legislative session itself was in violation of statutory law. We wish the NAACP success with their suit and all their work for justice. Let me go back to 2015. The last weekend in June 2015, we got marriage equality nationwide. The court ruled. Florida had already had it for 6 months. A lot of the country had had it for months or years already. Massachusetts being the first. Vermont was the first with civil unions, giving us something, and then Massachusetts with full marriage. And then June 2015, we're all people. According to the Constitution of the United States, we can marry and be full citizens. And the very next day, which was our Pride Sunday, I preached, and I said there will be an evangelical backlash. I'm not even a very good prognosticator. That was just that's how obvious that was going to be. Of all the people who are super, sensitive and intuitive and futuristic, I'm at the back of the class, and I said, "Oh, it's going to get ugly." Even while we were celebrating the victory. And then, several years later, women's bodily autonomy. Suddenly, that's not a thing anymore. Roe v. Wade, almost scripture in this country. And every person to be brought onto the Supreme Court saying, "Oh, that's settled law. We're not coming for that." Oh my God, does integrity mean nothing? Does honesty, does telling truth mean nothing? Apparently not to these people. So now it's state by state. States' rights, by the way, where a state can decide if you're human or not, that's the Confederacy. And its bastard child, Jim Crow. And so, yeah, we get to decide, state by state, whether or not you can marry, whether or not you're a person, whether you can marry outside of your race or within your gender, or the state gets to decide, which means the majority in that state gets to decide, which means minorities have no rights. That's what that is. And I said, I don't care what you think this, what your little philosophy is about, when life begins or whatever, that can't be proven. What can be proven is that women are people. And that whatever's going on in their body is their body. Whatever's in their body is part of their body, and they are in charge of their body. And if we don't stand up for this, just wait till the next thing, because they never stop. Oppression never stops with one situation, with one group. And sure enough, the next thing, we have don't say gay in schools. We have drag queens can't perform unless you're 18 years old in a lot of places. We have bathroom bills where people can even go to pee one by one, where people are being detained without due process. Sometimes they are actually citizens. Sometimes they're legal residents. Almost always they hadn't broken any laws other than, being here without proper documentation. One by one. And now, here we are once again in this situation of where we are being told who matters and who gets to decide who matters. And so Tennessee, the Voting Rights Act had already taken one hit a few years ago, because by section. So one section dismantled, now another section dismantled, and it wasn't a day before Southern states started even bringing in special sessions of legislatures to do this. One, voting had already started. And by changing the law in mid-vote, which is unethical and certainly illegal, but 100% unethical, that means all those votes after the vote was changed were thrown out because they changed the rules in the middle of the game. Is that allowed anywhere? But, because this is just fairer, because after about half a century of these laws, we don't need them anymore, because that's how prejudice and bigotry and disenfranchisement and marginalization works. If you'll just try to make it right for a couple of decades, then you've done it. No, 400 years of oppression cannot be undone in 50 years that you opposed from the beginning anyway. And so sure enough, now we don't need any more. And the minute they ruled that, you saw why we do. And now in an overwhelmingly red state, there was one sliver, like 97% of the state is red. There was one sliver, 3% blue. That was too much. And they had to redistrict so that now these people in this area is going to be split up now, even though this is a unified area, split up so that they never have a majority voice, not even in one district. If that is not white supremacy, if that is not racism, then I want all the money back for my sociology degree. Oh yeah, because that's exactly what it is. So yeah, when we say we wish the NAACP well in this, because they are on the side of the angels, and Tennessee and Texas and Arkansas and Oklahoma, and surprise, surprise, Virginia tried to do right, and the Supreme Court blocked that. And so yeah, this is a scary time. This is a time where white supremacy is on the rise, and it's always been there, but now it's in government, and all of their worst impulses are being codified. I know it's depressing, I know it's discouraging, but this is not the time to be silent. Silence is complicity. Silence is the same as being with the bad guys. And so, I'm so tired of preachers. I don't care what you're tired of. I'm tired of ugly and evil winning the day. And so I'm tired of more preachers not speaking out against it, and more politicians, and more business people, and so on. So that's where we are. And if you aren't saying something, you're not on the right side.
The visuals are just stark and clear. I saw one where they showed black men being dragged out of voting places in 1964, and black legislators being dragged out of the legislative
people's
session
representative
in Tennessee. So we're not talking about dreams that we believe that something is wrong. I remember growing up and hearing the phrase, "the South shall rise again," and
they weren't kidding.
They have found a way to legislate it. They have found a way to codify it in law. They have found a court that is complicit in the actions that are being taken. You talked about Jim Crow. This is Jim Crow 2.2, because Jim Crow 2.1 is the prison system. Jim Crow 2.2 is the legislation of getting rid of any voice that doesn't speak in a white male voice. And it's mostly white male. There are some white women, but most of the legislators in the South are white men. And I say it often at this table, I believe that so much of what they do is fear-based. They see that they are not going to be a majority forever, so they're finding ways to keep the appearance of being in charge. And this can't end well. I just can't believe that people are going to roll over and allow this to happen. And that means that there's a lot of trouble ahead for this country. It's happened before, it's going to happen again. And I am going to be on the side of justice love. I am going to make sure that my voice is heard. My husband, it drives him crazy, but I'm telling you that we have to do it.
And way too many, and y'all need to get this worked out, way too many white gay men are moving on the side of their whiteness. They're using their white privilege to navigate gay safety.
Wow.
And they're actually hurting a lot of people because as long as I'm okay. And if I'm white and male, I can figure out how to be okay. And so and y'all really need to pray about that, because is that really moral? Is that really who you want to be? But it happens way too much where you sell out everyone else so that you'll be okay. Instead of saying, yeah, I have some privilege, but I also know the experience of peril. I'm in a unique position to do right. Girl, would you please do right?
Right. I think that's where a lot of people, white gay men, white people as a whole, need to look at their privilege. They really, really need to look at their privilege, and something that you said, Rev Kev, the NAACP, the ACLU, which I think is also part of this lawsuit now. We need to support them. We need to do whatever we can, even if it's a small donation, get on board and help these groups, because they are the ones who are going to make the laws, get these things overturned. There was part of the story, proponents claim these changes are benign. No, they're not.
Benign, they wouldn't have bothered.
Exactly. If it were benign, they would have just left it alone. And that's not the case. They're doing everything that they can to change this. And so we need to be out there. We need to use our voices. We need to support these groups. And this can't happen.
I'm a big fan of the ACLU. I'm a big fan of the NAACP. But also, all politics are local. So in addition to all of that, there's a lot of local stuff going on, including Sunshine Cathedral. Don't forget us.
You know, one of the things that we kind of hit at this before is we talk about the allyship in the gay community, or the LGBT, we know our allies. Well, this is one of those moments we need our allies to step up once again, and all this voting stuff that's going on, and say, we're going back to Edmunds Pattis Bridge. That's where we're headed with all of this. You know, we're already seeing.
Will we show up this time to the bridge, though?
And then there's
Please God.
There's a rally that has come up, I think, next week that the Proctor Conference is putting on already, saying we're not going to come back here again. We've been here already. And we have to continue to move forward with this. So I think the images of the Civil Rights Act movement that has already taken place, we have enough fortitude, wherewith to know how to do this thing again, because we're going to have to do it again. And that is what it has come down to. There may not be the bloodshed or the things that were before, but we're going to have technology that has to defeat this. We have to have people in the street.
Charlottesville, January 6th. I'm not sure there won't be.
And that's that. And I think that we just have to look at what we are up against the new Jim Crow, and the new Jim Crow has figured out ways to make these things legislative once again that we now have to stand up for against it. So we're going to need black folks, we're going to need allies, we're going to need everybody in this fight together, because it's interesting to me that they continue, and they continue to come out to the minorities in these sections of population. 1% of the transgender community, a different percentage of the African American community in America, a different percentage of the women who vote in America. It's all these small percentages that they keep coming after. So what are you afraid of? That's what I want to.
Education. Do you know the highest level of education in this country are women? So if you go after education, you're not just going after one thing, are you?
No.
So my thing is, what are you afraid of? Are you afraid that this Trump regime is going to end? Yes, it's going to end. It will end. Are you afraid of not being empowered any longer? Well, I think we already saw the rule on that. Come 2065, you will be the minority. That will not happen any longer. So we're looking at these things already as they're unfolding, and I'm afraid to say that not too much you're going to do to stop it, because this will be undone once again.
Look at all this gray hair. I've been around for a minute, and I remember in the early 70s, we were still working out desegregation in schools. It had begun, obviously, way back when. But do you know in the South in 1970, it was still an issue. There was something to do busing and something to do education around it. And it was a bit. My kindergarten teacher was an African American woman. It was a big, thing, whatever. And so that was even in the group. Then in the 80s, because all through the 70s, late 60s, early 70s, we've been through all the peace movement. And the women's rights and the civil rights and all women's lib, we call it, and the gay liberation front and all that. So we got through all of that. And then in the 80s, Queer Nation. But then also AIDS hit. And so then there was ACT UP, and we did die-ins, and and I thought we'd reached the point where we'd been there, done that, and it worked. Mm-hmm. And now I got to drag my old ass into the street again.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I will do. Mm-hmm. Oh, you'll see me there.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I'll just be, popping steroids or whatever to try to get through it, to combat the inflammation. But I know we've been here. We know how to do this.
Yep.
And I'm gonna have to do it in a scooter, but we're gonna do it. You just have to.
Yes.
As well, you're just asking us to do too much. Surviving and protecting your dignity, not too much.
Amen.
Mm-hmm.
And that's today with the Queer God Squad. Thank you for joining the Queer God Squad today. We are here daily at 3 p.m. to have some fun and to discuss what our LGBTQ community is talking about. Please like and share this and other episodes of the Queer God Squad. Sunshine Cathedral is the world's leading progressive queer church. Progressive, queer, and God are words that naturally should go together. Remember that we're all in this together. Also remember, you are God's miracle, not God's mistake. Until next time, we are the Queer God Squad. Bye.